Hello, this morning I'm joined by my guest, Mr. Craig Vile from the ValPal Network. How you doing, Craig?
I'm very well, thank you, David. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. We're here to talk about marketing spends, and it's one of those things that agents feel like sometimes they're just pouring more and more in one end, and they're not quite sure what they get out the other because it's hard to track ROI in marketing. Some people will say it's brand awareness. Some people will say it's direct leads, but you can help.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's something that I've been looking at recently, or quite recently. And one of the things that we want to be able to produce, and we will be providing our clients with, is more stats, like meaningful stats. Things like how many leads they generated in the last 6 months of 2022, and how many of those leads came to market, and then how many of those leads that came to market were by that agent, and how many went to their competitors, and which competitors they lost that business to. Because what we want to show is that the lead generation that gave the agent the opportunity, the first opportunity, which is generally speaking where ValPal normally sits, and I think that's a given, that it's at the entry level, it's the entry point, it's where most people start their journey, and the agent has the opportunity at that point. But some of them take it and some of them don't, and you're not going to win everything. But what we want to do is we want to be able to provide more statistical data so that agents can see, right, we had that opportunity, didn't take it. Why didn't we take it? What should we have done with it, right? So we're working on that. But what it's also, I'm diving into this quite deeply as I've sort of done. I've got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about it. And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because I've been thinking about why and what happens. This isn't just in the ValPal world. This is an estate agent's world. When you're quite right, they spend money on lots of different things, lots of different prop tech, to generate leads, to nurture leads, to do this, to do that. And what they want to see is what the result of it is at the back end of it, right? But if we actually analyze a little bit about what happens, especially as the business becomes more established, I think we start to see something that could be a bit of a problem, in my opinion, anyway. And that is, when you start up your business, it's you that's doing the prospecting, and it's you that's doing the cold calls, and it's you that's doing the nurturing. And as you develop, as your business grows, so the business owner gets further and further into the office, towards the back of the office, right? And more junior staff sit at the front of the office. Now, would you say, who is the most likely person to be able to convert a lead? And somebody that's been working for 3 months or someone who's been working in the industry for 30 years?
Well, you want to say it should be the seasoned pro, right?
Right. But I think what kind of happens here is that the business owner who develops, who spends the money, decides where the budget in money is going to be spent, puts that money into a pot to generate leads, to nurture leads. And then what happens when those leads are generated? And I think quite a lot of the time it'll be the seasoned pro that will turn around to the junior and with a script and say, right, here you go. You go and say this to these people, and because it's either a yes or a no, right? They're either going to sell their property or they're not going to sell their property, right? But what we've done analytics on this, and we've actually done our own work on it as well, and we know that that's obviously it's not the case, because the seasoned pro is definitely going to be able to convert more leads than somebody junior. So I think there is a number of layers of problems with this that we have to address in order to get that return on the investment.
So is it then sort of a mindset change that is needed, or
Yeah,
Where does that
100%.
start?
Because I think here's a thing. What I think happens sometimes is when the business owner gets the bill, the accountant turns around and goes, "I've got this bill for this bit of prop tech," and he turns around to the neg and goes, "You getting anything from that?" And they go, "Oh no, it's rubbish," and he goes, "I'll cancel it," right? When actually that's not the problem. What the problem is you've got to look potentially at what's happening through the whole business. And all of this money is being spent on the lead generation, and you have to spend money on either getting somebody that is qualified to take that call on, educate that person so that they are capable of making that call, and also having an understanding of what is important to make that to get that conversion rate. And that there are a number of things that are factors that go with that. One of them is speed to lead, right? And we bang on about this a lot. What comes out of the agent's mouth, the first thing that comes out of their mouth, and speed to lead. Now, speed to lead is massive, and I don't think people are really still get that.
Let's just define what we mean by that. That is the speed that you respond to contact, is it? Yeah.
Well, there's some stats that's readily available. You can look this up online anywhere. It's across any industry, but you are 391 times more likely to qualify a lead if you call them in the first minute, right? You are 21 times more likely to convert a client if you speak to them within the first 5 minutes rather than 30 minutes. And then the really disappointing factor is that after 5 minutes, you're about 80% less likely to convert them. So how do we get speed to lead? And this is let's take the first part of this whole conundrum. How do we get that? And in a busy office, it's always difficult, right? Because the leads are coming in via email, the phones are ringing, you've got client facing, and leads can get lost in inboxes. So one of the things that we've looked at is how can we help with dealing with that. So we've actually got a solution on this one element, right, which is a new product that we've got for ValPal clients and MovePal clients called Connect. Right now, what Connect will do is, as that inbound lead comes in, it makes the phone ring in the office or a mobile number.
Right.
So immediately after the client, the vendor or the landlord has pressed submit on the form, they're viewing their online valuation, and now their phone is ringing. Right. Sorry, no, not their phone.
Your phone rings as
the agent's phone rings, right? And the agent's phone and ValPal will announce the call, right? So it will say, we've got a ValPal lead. We've got Joe Blogs from 22 Lacacia Drive, property value £350,000. Press any key to connect, right? So now the agent presses any key, and the call is bridged, and they then start speaking to that homeowner or that landlord.
Yeah.
So you've kind of forced the call, and the lead doesn't get stuck in the inbox.
But sometimes that's what you need, and you're so much more likely to convert on that because it's literally seconds after that person submit.
Exactly right. And we've also made it now so that call's recorded, right? So that call's recorded, so the business owner can then review the calls as well. So if you've got one of your negs that's outperforming another one, you can review them and see what's happening. You can use those calls, the recordings, for training to show how you should or shouldn't make the call. But also you can refer back to them if you need to get any information that you might have overlooked during the call. But it deals with that initial speed to lead, and it will also report back to the business owner on how many of those calls were declined, right? Yeah. Which is really interesting, because I'd like to know that if it was my money that I was spending out on all the marketing, and then I laid out all of these leads to my team, and my team didn't accept those calls, I'd want to know why.
You know what? It's tremendously simple, really, and it's that's the genius of it. It works, and it forces a change in habit and behavior, because it's easy to ignore an email inbox when it's mounting up. There will always be something more important.
Yeah, and we can get lost in our emails, right?
And truthfully, if you speak to anybody about lead gen, prospecting, sales, there is absolutely no replacement for that sort of back and forth of conversation, and being able to actually talk to somebody, and picking up that phone can make a real difference. So that's super.
100%.
And so is this live now? The people using it?
Yep, it's live now. It's live for ValPal clients. It's free upgrade. For ValPal clients, it's available for ValPal clients. So yeah, just get in contact with us, and we'll have a chat with you on that. With because people will probably ask, is there any cost involved in the calls? Right, the calls are powered by Twilio, so they're like VoIP calls. There is a call cost, but it's like 0.04p, so it's less than half a p a minute. So it's nominal. It's a nominal fee. Doesn't go to us, by the way. You get an account straight with Twilio. All we're interested in is helping you guys to get to that lead as quickly as possible and give yourselves the best opportunity to convert.
And there is some more sort of functionality with it as well, isn't there? That you do have those calls recorded so that you can review them. You can listen back to how those calls are being handled. If there's something that ultimately is not converting and you want to just go back and work out, was it positioned well? And that's an essential training tool. It really is. And then backing that up together with the reporting that you can provide managers and sort of team managers, it's superb. And
look, I think this is one step on a number of things that need to happen in order to help the agent to get this return on their investment. But I also think the training of the negs to make those calls correctly is fundamental. What comes out of their mouth, we do mystery shops randomly, and it's surprising sometimes what we hear and what we have to report back to a business owner. But yeah, I mean, it's so the training on the basics of what you should say, that those sort of training things, we're doing some work with some training with Able Agent actually at the moment, and so we get that's I would recommend agents that look at doing that as well, just to make sure that they got all their bases covered.
And it makes a difference. And even for those of us that are seasoned pros and we've done it for years, getting them back out there to train sometimes and just refresh and challenge themselves, it's also you leading by example. I think if the at the back of the office come out to the front of the office and say, right, we're getting stuck in as well. I think it always works better.
But it's as you say, it's this mindset change. It's kind of, even if the boss came into the front of the office and sat there for half an hour and listened to what was being said, to understand whether their team are spot on, right on mark, which they might well be, or if they need help and training on certain elements. But speed to lead, the two most important things are speed to lead and what comes out of their mouth, right? We can't help with the what comes out of the mouth.
We can do that,
but we can certainly, we've now nailed on getting that phone ringing as soon as the lead comes in, so there's no excuses on that side, and recording everything that's being said so that now everyone can review what is actually being said by those by the negs.
Well, you are well tried and tested. You're a household favorite amongst agents that you represent loads of them. I think at last count it was over 800 different firms that you've been dealing with, and so your experience and the solutions that you develop are very much taken from that frontline feedback that you're getting back from people that are using it. So Yeah, it's absolutely superb, and I recommend any agent to find all your details on kerfuffle.com and have a chat with Craig. He sold me my very first Val tool. You don't even remember that call, do you?
I don't, you know, I don't.
It was
But that's
years and
interesting.
years ago. It was, and do you know what? When that came out, we were all blown away because it was sort of what we were looking for. It was there wasn't lead gen before then, really. That was a real sort of turning point of something you could dangle out there. It would engage an audience of perhaps more passive customers that you could nurture upwards. And I think it's, you know, you've kept pushing that sort of message since then, and now you've grown to do much more than just that. So yeah, it's superb.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.